What's up everyone, welcome back to Auto Car, your go-to spot for all things trucks, classics, and automotive legends. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic trucks to ever roll off an assembly line. It's rugged, it's stylish, it's pure Americana. We're talking about the 1971 Ford F100 4x4, a truck that helped shape the pickup game as we know it today. Now when you look at this beast, the first thing that strikes you is the bold, squared-off styling. 1971 was smack in the middle of Ford's fifth generation of F-Series trucks, and it was a time when the brand was really honing in on that balance of brawn and beauty. This isn't just a work truck. It's a statement. That grille, with its distinctive egg crate design, flanked by round headlights and clean chrome trim, screams classic American muscle. And if you're lucky enough to see one in person, especially a restored 4x4 version, it's hard not to just stop and stare. Back in the early 70s, Ford was making moves to offer more comfort and utility in their trucks without sacrificing toughness. The F100 4x4 from 1971 is a perfect example of this shift. While it was built to haul, tow, and take a beating, it also came with some surprisingly modern touches for its time. Think padded dashes, optional power steering, and even air conditioning if you were willing to drop a little extra cash. That's right, this old-school truck had creature comforts that were pretty cutting-edge 50-plus years ago. But let's not forget the real magic, the 4x4 drivetrain. This wasn't just for looks. The 1971 F100 4x4 came ready for the trail, the farm, the snow, or wherever you needed to go. It featured a solid Dana 44 front axle and a rugged leaf spring suspension that could take serious punishment. Paired with a new Process 205 transfer case, a real gear-driven monster, the 4x4 setup on this truck was about as tough as it gets. You could crawl over rocks, ford shallow creeks, or rip through muddy fields and come out the other side grinning. Under the hood, buyers had a few choices depending on how much power they needed. The base inline-6 was reliable, sure, but if you really wanted to feel that V8 rumble, you could opt for the 302 Windsor or even the 360 or 390 big blocks. That 390, in particular, gave this truck some serious grunt. We're talking upwards of 300 pound-feet of torque, a number that meant business in 1971. With a 4-speed manual transmission and that heavy-duty low-range gearing, the F100 4x4 wasn't afraid to get dirty. Let's take a moment to appreciate the interior too. Climb inside and you're greeted by a bench seat wide enough to host a family barbecue. Simple, functional gauges give you just what you need: speed, fuel, temp, and maybe an oil pressure light if you're lucky. But it's that simplicity that gives it charm. Everything is mechanical. Everything feels analog. Every knob, every switch, it all connects you directly to the machine. And when you fire it up, that deep V8 burble through dual exhausts. It's music. One of the coolest things about the 1971 Ford F100 is how timeless it feels. Sure, technology has come a long way. But there's something raw and authentic about this truck that today's computerized rides just can't replicate. It's honest. It doesn't pretend to be anything it's not. It's a pickup in the truest sense, a tool, a companion, a weekend toy, or a daily driver if you've got the guts and the gas money. Now let's talk about restoration and the modern appeal. Over the last few years, classic trucks like the F100 have seen a serious resurgence in popularity. And for good reason. They're relatively simple to work on, parts are still available, and they're endlessly customizable. Whether you want to keep it original or throw in a modern crate engine in some COI lovers, the 1971 F100 is the perfect platform. You've probably seen them at shows, cars and coffee meets, or just cruising the back roads. Some people drop them to the ground with a coyote swap and 20-inch wheels. Others keep it lifted, with mud tires and patina that tells a story. Either way, these trucks have a personality. And in a world of cookie-cutter SUVs and silent EVs, that personality matters. On the road, the F100 4x4 is surprisingly capable. No, it's not going to corner like a sports car or glide over bumps like a modern F150. But that's not the point. Driving this truck is about connection, between man, machine, and the road. Every shift, every bump, every little rattle, it's all part of the experience. It forces you to be present, to pay attention, and honestly, to enjoy the ride. As far as value goes, the 1971 F100 4x4 is still relatively affordable compared to some other classic pickups. But prices are creeping up, especially for clean 4x4 models or ones with factory V8s. If you've been thinking about getting into the classic truck scene, this might be your last chance to grab one before they get out of reach. And if you already own one, hold on to it. They're only going up in value and respect. Another fun fact, 1971 marked the last year before Ford introduced the F-Series Custom trim in 1972, which started to shift the line even more toward personal use luxury trucks. So in a way, the 71 F100 4x4 is the last of the pure utility era, just before the pickup started to become a lifestyle vehicle. Whether you're into wrenching, restoring, off-roading, or just cruising in something that turns heads, the 1971 Ford F100 4x4 delivers. It's more than a truck. It's a piece of history. A working man's legend. And it deserves every bit of love it gets from collectors and enthusiasts around the world. That's it for today's deep dive. If you enjoyed this ride back to 1971, hit that like button, drop us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Autocar for more classic truck content, builds, reviews, and road tests. We've got a lot more coming your way. Until next time, keep your engines roaring and your wheels on the dirt. Thanks for watching.